Hello and welcome to the Motorsport Chat. I'm Natalie.
And I'm Ellen.
It's a pleasure to have you here, Ellen. This is your first show. So right now we have live what will become a historic moment for motorsport for women, as we have the first all-female test in the new Gen 3 Evo for Formula E. This test is made to accelerate diversity and equality across motorsport. We'll see 22 drivers with many familiar names. So this is a very important moment for females in motorsport. Seeing these women out on track in Formula E cars is great, isn't it?
It is amazing, and I think it's really good that they've been able to do this and had an opportunity to do it in these new set of cars that we've got.
Of course, there was the delay with the Valencia floods, in which it's incredible that they've been able to do so quickly and move it to Madrid and make the test go ahead. Because I think this is such a good step for progression for women in a series that is all male at the minute. But it's still such a high profile motorsport series.
It is,
So I think it's really good that we're seeing some really big names as well. We were talking before, about Jamie Chadwick. I mean, she's incredible, isn't she?
Yeah, she's been doing good in IndyCar. She did a few races with them as well.
We've got Bianca Bustamante, who has been making headlines. She's done a lot of work for McLaren. So we also have the all-female single-seater series F1 Academy, and recently F1 Academy Managing Director Susie Wolff stated that the winner of this season's championship will receive a fully funded seat in GB3 with Rodin Motorsport in 2025.
For some, this may sound like a backward step, but as it is in F3, but this is a huge step for the women in this progress, isn't it?
Of course. I mean, like we said before, just to give them the chance to prove themselves is so important. And although this probably doesn't sound like that much of a step just to GB3, it's far better than they would have got without F1 Academy.
F1 Academy just give them that exposure that they need to get into all these different categories and progress up.
As we know, sponsorship is difficult for women in motorsport, with it being such a male-dominated sport for the drivers. It's much harder for them to gain the sponsorship. So we've seen a lot of brands come in that we wouldn't associate with motorsport, like Charlotte Tilbury.
She is a big one.
Which has done a lot for the sport, I think, definitely. To have a makeup brand on a car as a sponsor is an incredible thing to see. So, I think it'll be really good to see them in the British series. But then I think through that, they can definitely move up. Which is obviously what we all want to see.
Of course,
So moving on to silly season, which seems like it ended in summer, but definitely did not. Over the past week, motorsport has been a whirlwind with unexpected announcements all around.
We witnessed a double podium for Alpine at the Brazilian Grand Prix, had a statement released that the Grand Prix Drivers Association cancelled sessions and much, much more.
Yes. The Formula One driver market made headlines this week with the announcement of Zhou Guanyu and Valtteri Bottas from Sauber to be replaced by the rookie F2 star Gabriel Bortoleto to partner Nico Hülkenberg in their 2025 seats. Now, some people are questioning Sauber's decision on this. Do you think they've made the right choice?
I do. I think that he's an F3 champion. He's at the top right now in F2, and I think, you know, with these young drivers that we've got in right now, like Ollie Behrman and Liam Lawson, it's just proven that these young drivers can still do it. You know, not a lot of them get exposure by being in F2, but I feel like these, you know, individuals have proved that they can go on and race in F1.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's proved himself.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a good opportunity. Whether it's too soon, I think is definitely something that could be an issue. as we've seen before, rookies coming up too quickly and they haven't been able to perform straight away.
Yeah.
And I'd hate to see him move up into F1 and then have a bad first year and be judged solely on that, as we've seen happen so many times in the past with incredible drivers. But do you think that Nico Hülkenberg is the right choice as well? Because personally, this is something I've said multiple times on the show before. I do think that it should be someone else in that seat. I think he's had so many choices, so many chances to prove himself, get podiums, get wins, and he hasn't been able to. People would argue that he's never had the car to be able to do that.
Yep.
He's been able to get points before, but I don't think I've ever watched a race and really been wowed by his performance, any overtakes he's done, any defensive moves. I don't think I've ever looked at his driving style and thought he's so different. And I don't know, I just personally think that seat should go to possibly a rookie.
Okay. I think it's hard. He's not like a very exceptional driver. He's not like, wow, look at me. But I think he does drive that Haas car very well. He does get into the points. He qualifies amazing. He does try and get into the top 10 for Haas. And if he could do that in Sauber, I don't know. I think his chance will probably come more when it turns to Audi in 2026.
I think it depends whether he does do well next year.
Yeah.
Whether he will keep that seat. With it being Audi, I think there's been a lot in the media about Sainz being there for that seat. So who else will be partnered with Sainz? I don't know. I can't see it being Hülkenberg, unless he really does wow us and grab a few wins, which we don't know. Sauber could come out with a fantastic car.
Well, based on this year, probably not. just to put it out there. They are very low. I don't think they actually have any points in the championship right now. I don't know. I think Carlos really has his heart set on Williams.
Yeah.
I think he sees what they want to do and how they want to take it far, and I think he just wants to run with that with Alex. I think they both pretty much believe in the team and James and everything like that. Yeah.
I think that if we don't manage to get a seat for Colapinto next year, I think Audi might be a nice space for him.
I think there's talk about him going to RB.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
I think so. I think there was something about Christian Horner.
Yeah. Lawson and Perez.
Yes.
The past few races, their battles have been intense.
They have.
Feisty, quite aggressive, and you can really tell that they aren't just fighting each other for position, they're fighting for a seat.
They are. Which
is what we all want to see, really. Because then we see real, raw, emotional racing, don't we? So do you think that Lawson should take Perez's seat?
I do. I think Perez has had a lot of chances and a lot of, chance to prove himself and stuff like this. And like, if you take Brazil, for instance, Verstappen was P17 on the starting grid and he managed to win the race. Perez qualified, was it P12? He only got P11. And that just proves that his teammate is so much better than him and he just doesn't have the racing craft anymore to go on to... He's not racing the Red Bull as he should.
Yeah.
He's not pushing that car to its potential like his teammate is. And I think Liam Lawson really does that with the RB, and I think he could do that with the Red Bull.
Yeah. Oh, no, I agree. We were talking before about his almost like motivation and his mentality, because there was a moment where Perez in the pit lane was being told to overtake the other drivers, and he was saying, no, there's no space. But then Verstappen came through, overtook him along with the other drivers and shot through the pit lane, which just shows that he doesn't have the same mentality as Verstappen.
No.
Which they need a driver who is aggressive like that.
I just don't think he's got that winning motivation. I don't think it's in him. And he's got, Red Bull was one of the best cars, especially last season. And he's just not using that as to its potential at all, like Max is.
So Brazil was a chaotic race, of course. Behrman back in the car, which was... That boy has had way more work experience than he probably thought he would. The reserve driver role for him has been a very jam-packed role.
It has.
So a chaotic race. The rain, wow, didn't expect
Especially
that.
in qualifying. How many red flags did they pull out for that qualifying session?
It was like watching like Bambi on ice, really, wasn't it? Entertaining though.
It was.
The Grand Prix with the delayed start because of the incident with the grid at the start, and the Lance Stroll spinning out on the formation lap. And
we had the aborted start as well.
Yeah, so lots of delays, which already brings the tension up for the restart, because as soon as there's some sort of delay or an incident before the race has even started, it just brings a sort of atmosphere that really adds to the tension before the race, which is...
Everyone's on the edge of their seats.
Everyone's already on the edge, and I think it brings a sort of sense of unpredictability, because when there is that tension, you find that people make mistakes and people make advantages of other people, messing up because of this.
Which Verstappen, didn't he say that over the radio?
Yeah.
With Charles. He was like, Charles is driving.
I've noticed this year, we have seen so many more of the drivers picking up on other drivers making mistakes.
They have.
Because it's, with the racing regulations at the minute, it's so inconsistent that they want to make sure that if they got a penalty for something, that the next driver is going to get the exact same penalty for doing the same thing, which is obviously something that they're looking at now for next year. How important do you think it is for them to review the racing regulations?
I think it's really important. I think the drivers need to know where they stand within the sport and what the rules are and what they can and can't do, because it just creates more tension when they're in that cockpit trying to over the radio, like, well, I got a penalty, why didn't they get a penalty, and stuff like this. And I think they just need some solid rules that they all know what they're doing and there's no like conspiracy around it.
Yeah. Of course, didn't go McLaren's way this weekend.
It did not.
Do you think this is Norris's championship over now?
I think it would be very hard to bring it back. You know, Max gained a lot of points by winning. I don't know, it's a hard one. Obviously, mathematically, he can, but if he will, I'm not sure. I think McLaren will definitely win the championships, I feel. But I think Max just might take that title this year.
Yeah, the drivers. I think the first half was fully deserved. I don't think we can really comment on any mistakes or issues there. Obviously, he's had a much weaker second half of the season.
He has.
Coming back from summer. And although Brazil has proved that he's the same Max that we have always known, he will fight and get into the points. And I'm pretty sure I saw a statistic that since 2016, unless he's DNF'd, he has never finished outside of the points.
Wow.
Which is incredible.
That is a really
And if that was
statistic.
any other driver, I think that people would really appreciate it. But I think because it's Max, a lot of people want to try and comment and say that it's the car.
Yeah.
But if it was Hamilton, people would appreciate it. I think there is a sort of...
It just showed how good of a driver he was this weekend. You know, obviously he had a 5-grid penalty going into Brazil. And to go from P17 to winning the race, that is not the car, that is him in that cockpit driving.
And that, I think, to not make mistakes and to get in the points every race is a challenge in itself.
Yeah.
And he's just an incredible driver, and I think he needs more recognition for it. And I think people need to start seeing him as possibly an F1 legend in the making. In the making, we'll say.
Not quite yet.
In the making, we'll say. Not quite yet.
He has beat quite a lot of records, so.
Yeah. Whether it's the car or not, he's a great driver.
Yeah.
And I think people need to start acknowledging this.
Just compare Max and Perez. The exact same car and what they're both doing with it.
So next year, of course, with the seats, we're going to see quite a lot of rookies.
We are.
Possibly 5 or 6 as of now. So we have Bortoletto, Antonelli, Doohan, Behrman, maybe Lawson, and maybe Colapinto. This is going to be
Very
incredible
exciting.
if it is.
It is. I think it's really good for these young people to come through. Obviously, last year it all stayed the same. So this year it's nice to have some new people in, and they're young as well. Like they're like raring to go. They want to fight.
The future of F1 is here, and I think next year is going to be incredible. And I think we're going to see a lot of changes next year with these new drivers coming in. I think it will change the dynamic of the sport and the series, really. I'm hoping we'll see some new viewers who might tune in just to see what will happen.
Yeah, hopefully some people who watch F2 but don't necessarily watch F1, it should bring them in. Or people who follow the individual themselves, to follow them up to F1. It'd be nice to get some more people watching.
Yeah, definitely. And we've seen tasters of quite a few of these drivers within F1 sessions now, which I think it was a really good point that they brought in, that they were going to make it mandatory for rookies to take part in FP1 sessions, because now a lot of the people that watch F1 but might not necessarily watch these feeder series can see the future of F1 and who's going to be moving up and making it up there.
And even for the teams as well.
Yeah.
To get the data off the drivers, how well they're driving, how they're handling the car. It's just more exposure for them.
Yeah, and to see who's going to be taking their seats in the future. So you have the question of the day, don't you, Ellen?
I do. Do you think Lance Stroll purposely beats his car in the gravel on the formation lap in the Brazilian Grand Prix?
Right. So you need to
Very
comment down below who, if you think that he did do this intentionally or not. Right. This is a crazy question.
Very controversial.
Personally, I don't think he did. I think it was just an error of judgment. I think it was wet, and he obviously clearly, although he's known as being a better driver in the wet, he doesn't click with this car. He's just not. He can't click with this car, and I think it was just a mistake by him. But I have seen the controversy of it.
Yes, I've seen it. I don't know. I feel like he easily could have reversed. I feel like he could have reversed a little bit, and he could have not got in the gravel.
Why do you think he would have done it on purpose?
I don't know. I feel like he hasn't got the motivation right now at all.
Something to do with proving a point to Dad, maybe.
I don't know.
Dad didn't pay for something.
I just watched it and I was like, reverse a little. Like, he just went straight in the middle of it. I don't know. That's just me.
Maybe Lawrence didn't give him his monthly allowance. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? Well, that's all we have time for on the Motorsport Chat today. Make sure to comment your thoughts on the questions of the day down below.
And follow our Instagram and TikTok account at the Motorsport Chat for updates.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.